Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Evolution Classes. Today we are going to take one of the topics from class 11th biology. We will be discussing about mechanism of breathing today. Alright, I will try to keep the topic as simple and as easy as possible, and I'll try to make it very simple for you. So when we talk about breathing, it is simply one of the steps in respiration. So what is breathing? The first thing that you have to understand is breathing is one of the steps in respiration. So breathing is simply one of the steps in respiration which involves what? It involves inhalation and exhalation. So when you talk about breathing, it is one of the steps in respiration which involves the process of inhalation and exhalation. Now talking about inhalation and exhalation, what is this? So inhalation is the process of breathing in. Inhalation is the process of breathing in, or the process of intake of air from the outside environment to our lungs. When you talk about exhalation, so it is breathing out. So when you say breathing out, it means the process of release of air from the lungs to the atmosphere. So basically, when we talk about the mechanism of breathing, we are trying to discuss how we are performing the process of inhalation and exhalation. How do we perform the process of inhalation and exhalation is actually what we try to understand when we discuss the mechanism of breathing. Alright. So let us first start with inhalation. We will start with the process of inhalation first. Before going to the entire mechanism, we should also understand what are the various muscles which plays important role in the mechanism of breathing. So when we say the mechanism of breathing, it is very well controlled by phrenic muscles. It is controlled by phrenic muscles. Next one will be diaphragm. And the third one is intercostal muscles. So these are the important muscles which performs a crucial role during the process of inhalation and exhalation. Now what is phrenic muscles? So phrenic muscles attach diaphragm with ribs. So what are the phrenic muscles? These are the muscles which actually attach the diaphragm with the ribs. Now talking about diaphragm, what is this? It is a muscular structure, or you can say muscular strap that separates thorax and abdomen. So the structure or the muscular structure which separates the thorax from the abdomen is called as the diaphragm. So the structure above the diaphragm, this region we call it as thorax, and the structure that lies below the diaphragm we call it as abdomen. Talking about intercostal muscles, these lies between the ribs. So intercostal muscles lies between the ribs. Now they are also of two types. So when you talk about the intercostal muscles, they are of two types. internal intercostal muscles and external intercostal muscles. So when you talk about intercostal muscles, they are of two types: internal intercostal muscles and external intercostal muscles. So what are these external and internal? So external intercostal muscles slant they slant forward and downward. Whereas when we talk about internal, they slant forward and outward. So these are the difference between the external intercostal muscles and internal intercostal muscles. So when you talk about mechanism of breathing, you have to keep in mind phrenic muscles, diaphragm and intercostal muscles. Alright. Now when you talk about the inhalation, we have to talk in case of both the muscles. So we will start with the phrenic muscles. So what happens now? Phrenic muscles contract. So contraction of phrenic muscle takes place. Now due to the contraction of phrenic muscles, the diaphragm, which was in the dome shape, the diaphragm usually lies in dome shape. So when the phrenic muscles contract, the diaphragm straightens. So due to the contraction of phrenic muscle, diaphragm straightens. Due to the straightening of diaphragm, the volume of the thorax increases. So if you want to understand this, it can be very easy to understand. Suppose if I say, let us say this is our thorax region and this is the diaphragm. So at present, this is the volume which is available. But when this diaphragm becomes straight, let's say it becomes like this. So initially it was up to here. So now this area is made available only when the diaphragm straightens. So when the diaphragm straightens, the volume of thorax region increases. So it results in increase in the volume of thorax vertically. So why vertically? Because in this region it is increasing. Therefore we are calling it as vertically. So what has happened now? Phrenic muscles has contracted. Due to the contraction of phrenic muscles, the diaphragm has straightened. Due to the straightening of diaphragm, there is increase in the volume of thorax vertically. Alright. Now let us see what happens in the case of intercostal muscles. So we will talk about the intercostal muscles. Now intercostal muscles also contract. Due to the contraction of intercostal muscles, the ribs move upward and outward. So when the intercostal muscles contract, that results in the movement of the ribs outward and upward. Due to this, further increase in thorax takes place. Increase in the volume of thorax. But the direction is different. This time it is antero-posteriorly. Now what is this antero-posteriorly? And when you breathe in, so you can feel the chest is moving upward and it is also moving outward. So now what is happening? Due to this movement, the volume is increasing in this direction. When diaphragm was straightening, the volume was increasing in this direction. Now it is moving outward, so the volume is increasing in this direction, and this one is called as antero-posteriorly. Antero means front, posteriorly means backward. So when the intercostal muscles contract, it results in the movement of the ribs upward and outward, which results the volume of the increase in the volume of the thorax. Now, due to the cumulative effect of both of this, increase in volume of thorax takes place. Due to the increase in the volume of thorax, lungs expand. Due to the expansion of lungs, volume of lungs increases. Due to the increase in the volume of the lungs, the pressure within the lungs decreases. So pressure within the lungs decreases. And we all know that air always moves from high pressure to low pressure. So now air moves into the lungs. So in this manner, the process of inhalation is completed. So what is happening? Phrenic muscles contract, results in the straightening of diaphragm, which results in the increase of the thorax volume. Intercostal muscles contract, ribs move upward and downward, increases in the volume of thorax anteroposteriorly. Together, it results in the increase in volume of thorax. Lungs expands, volume of lungs increases, pressure within the lungs decreases, air moves into the lungs. So this completes the process of inhalation. In the similar way, if we want to talk about the process of, let's say, exhalation. So we can talk the process of exhalation. So what happens in the process of exhalation? In the similar way, we can talk about phrenic muscles. So here also, what will happen? The phrenic muscles will now, instead of contraction, what will happen? It will relax. So the relaxation of phrenic muscles, what it will do? The diaphragm will again take the dome shape. So diaphragm takes dome shape. Now when the diaphragm takes the dome shape, what happens? The volume of thorax will decrease. Okay, so what is happening? It is happening just reverse of this. So when you talk about exhalation, we have already seen here inhalation. So if we want to talk about exhalation, what will happen? Exactly opposite will happen. So phrenic muscles, instead of contraction, what will happen? It will relax. Okay, so diaphragm was straightening. Now diaphragm will take the dome shape. When it takes the dome shape, what will happen? Decrease in the volume of thorax will take place vertically. In the same manner, if you talk about intercostal muscles, now it will not contract, it will relax. So the relaxation of intercostal muscles will move the ribward. How? Ribs will move downward and inward, which will again decrease the volume of thorax. Together, they will again decrease the in volume of thorax. Lungs will what do? Lungs will, instead of expanding, they will contract. So contraction of lungs, what will happen now? Due to the contraction of the lungs, the volume of lungs will decrease. So due to the decrease in the volume of the lungs, the pressure within the lungs will increase. As a result, air will move out of the lungs. So this is how the process of inhalation and exhalation is carried out. So you have to keep in mind about the three things: the phrenic muscles, the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles. So what happens in the process of inhalation? The phrenic muscles contract. The contraction of phrenic muscles straightens the diaphragm. Due to the straightening of diaphragm, the volume of thorax increases vertically. As a result, there is an increase in the volume. Now, when you talk about intercostal muscles, it again contracts. The contraction of intercostal muscles moves the ribs upward and outward, which increases the volume of thorax anteroposteriorly. Together, the volume of thorax increases, lungs expands, pressure within the lungs decreases, air moves into the lungs, completing the process of inhalation. In the same way, if we talk about the process of exhalation, the same thing happens in a reverse order. So now phrenic muscles will relax, the diaphragm will take the dome shape, the volume of the thorax will decrease, intercostal muscles relaxes, the ribs move downward and inward, volume of thorax decreases, lungs contracts, pressure within the lungs will again increase and air will move from high pressure to low pressure atmosphere. So in this manner the process of exhalation and inhalation is done, and this is how the mechanism of breathing concludes. Do like, share and subscribe my channel. In case of any confusions and doubts, do comment. Thank you.